long time ago, in a galaxy far, far away.
Feel, don't think.
Fear is my ally.
The Force will be with you.
We are encouraged to love.
Be mindful of your thoughts.
I will not betray the Republic.
Hey, Your Worship, I'm only trying to help.
Scruffy-looking nerf herder.
I'm not afraid.
You must unlearn what you have learned.
So 2 years ago, October 2022, the Supreme Court heard the case Students for Fair Admissions, Inc. versus President and Fellows of Harvard College. They'd heard the case and they issued their ruling basically on affirmative action. They overturned affirmative action with this ruling. So what it means is that affirmative action itself violates the 14th Amendment of the United States Constitution, which, if you know anything about American history, you know that 14th Amendment came about as a way to stop slavery in the United States. It was basically a reaction after the Civil War. And there's a clause in it called the Equal Protection Under the Law Act clause. And it fundamentally guards the rights of individuals being hired and being admitted to schools, etc. And the problem with affirmative action is that they had a race quota, which is unconstitutional on steroids. So a lot of kids who are white, a lot of kids who are Asian, weren't being allowed in to institutions like Harvard because of their race. They might have had much better grades than the people getting in. They were probably excellent fits for what used to be the best university in the United States, and they screwed it up with affirmative action, and now affirmative action isn't allowed to be part of any admittance anywhere in any school. And you could translate that into being hired. So what's going on here is that states seem to be taking the issue and turning it into something like, some sort of affirmative action, but with a twist. It's with DEI. DEI is nothing more than, I think, an even more insidious issue with diversity, equity, inclusion, because it is part of the culture, okay? This is the problem. And states, again, are now violating the 14th Amendment, equal protection under the law. And how do they do that? Well, Senate Bill 132 in California is a very confusing thing. I think part of the law is transgender respect, like in prisons, etc. It's very complicated for that. But also, there's a tax credit rider for studios, and it's connected to DEI. They must show some sort of representation of gays, transgenders, different races, which is, if it's a show nobody's seen, nobody cares. But if you take an existing character that has been played by a white person and install a minority, that's wrong, and it ruins creativity, and it doesn't work for people. Okay, so there are new diversity requirements, like I said. Now, why am I doing this video? It's because a lot of people, the ones that watch Gary at Nerdrotic, Ryan Cannell, Geeks and Gamers, other angry fanboy bleary-eyed money grubbers. Yeah, I could go on. Are really upset about it. All right, now they're like, see. And personally, I don't like it, but I also understand why Disney had to do this. They wanted the tax credit. Look, if you can save money with this rule, why wouldn't you do that? Okay, so this is why this is going on in California. And if they do it the right way, if they do it subtly, where it's not in your face, and look, I'm going to tell you something. If you look at the story as it is now, where those kids live is basically communist China. Everybody has a place. You have to take a test, and whatever score you get, that's the job you're going to do. Okay, which is bullshit. Because I guarantee you there are plenty of C students who are just lazy, who didn't want to work hard, who are much smarter than the kids that got the right marks. So here's the summary of this bill. Here's the deal. They had to do this. Okay? They had to do this. It's kind of like one of my favorite streaming shows right now, the TV show Shrinking, has characters I don't like. It's still good. Okay? The two gay guys are as annoying as fuck. Okay? When you've got men who act more effeminate than you are, you've got a problem, in my opinion, if you're a woman. And the neighbor lady from across the street is the village Karen. She's a bitch. All right? She just is. So, but you can like things like this, okay? And again, if it's organic and it's not here, fuck you, like the Acolyte, then we'll see how it works, okay? And the way they're presenting the planet, it's not an ideal situation anyway. It's sort of like communist China or the Soviet Union, okay? Not even the Germans during Hitler's time did this shit to people, okay? All right, so it's something that if it's done naturally for the environment they're in, then get over it, enjoy the show, and let everybody else enjoy the show. And also remember, they are required by law, if they want those tax credits, and trust me, Disney does, to do this. More is coming.
This is Master Obi-Wan Kenobi. I regret to report that both our Jedi Order and the Republic have fallen. With the dark shadow of the Empire rising to take their place. This message is a warning and a reminder for any surviving Jedi. Trust in the Force. Do not return to the temple. That time has passed. And our future is uncertain. We will each be challenged. Our trust, our faith, our friendships. But we must persevere. And in time, a new hope will emerge. May the Force be with you, always.
So this tax extension, I think, goes into 2030. And we've just learned last night, I can't remember who, that Ahsoka is moving to England to be filmed. Now, there are tax incentives there. They might actually be able to save more money there. But I don't know if they're required by law to do what they had to do in England or in California. I'm not sure. Maybe one of my British followers can look that up and tell me if they're required by law. My thing is, let's just see what happens with Ahsoka. But again, let's go back to Skeleton Crew. It's already a good show. Of course, it does have the naysayers. We can call them out by name. We know who they are. And they're going to do this because, like in Latino Slant's chat yesterday, the only way these big channels make money is to hate everything. So my advice is, if you like it, stop watching them. All right? Stop giving them money. Use that money, buy your kids toys or something, or buy your wife jewelry for Christmas. All right? Don't waste time with them. Okay? Look, the world has turned a corner since November 5th. All right? It really has. And the world is going to change a lot for these guys too, just like it will for us. And we have to get over it and enjoy our lives now, because I believe there's a renaissance coming. All right? And I believe that a lot of these actresses and actors that scream and shout are going to be shut up. Like Ariana Grande, she went off on gay themes and Wicked, making sure at least I wouldn't see it because I'm offended by it. And, it still made a lot of money. But you've got Amanda Stenberg screaming and shouting, ranting and raving about, the Acolyte. The Acolyte was just terrible. And the way they presented everything was just terrible. It was fan fiction on steroids. Nobody watched it, not only because it was terrible, but because Jodie Turner-Smith and Amanda Stenberg were trying to use the racist dog whistle to shame people into watching it. And it's like, it's not going to work. All right. It is Kathleen Kennedy and Leslie Headland's issue. All right. They're the ones that allowed this. And especially Kathleen Kennedy, who, according to Matt Bellany, is not woke. All right. Then if she's not woke, why the Acolyte? Why was that allowed to be made? All right. Why? Okay. So, there's going to be a huge difference between how this evil perpetrated on the human race is being shown in the Acolyte compared to the Skeleton Crew. There's going to be a huge discrepancy. All right. So Skeleton Crew is enjoying an 81% Rotten Tomatoes audience score. Compare that to the Acolyte of 18%. It's the exact opposite. Okay. And, we're only about, I'm going to say it's probably going to go into about a 75%. Again, because the YouTubers I mentioned won't be happy with anything. You could have Jason Solo and Jaina Solo and Han Solo normally just show up in Mando and Grogu and Leia and everybody happy, and they would hate it. Okay, why? Because it makes them money. They monetize hate. And to me, that's just wrong. And it's a grift, and it's slimy, and it affects the Rotten Tomatoes score, like I said, And it's too bad. Now, I am going to say this. Wouldn't be surprised if there were some trolls from Lucasfilm, like Pablo Hidalgo, etc., putting up nasty comments and doing their part to hurt the Rotten Tomatoes score. Okay, I could see them doing that in revenge. All right, but anyway, I wanted to talk about SB 132. It comes in a bunch of different parts. It's about not only tax credits for diversity, equity, and inclusion, which is nothing more than DEI, which is nothing more than affirmative action, which was banished from college admissions, and I would say banished from everywhere. When the Supreme Court overturned the case, Supreme Court overturned affirmative action, throwing down a ruling for Students for Fair Admissions, Inc. versus Harvard President and Fellows of Harvard College, overturning affirmative action. Okay, DEI is affirmative action. There's no real difference in it, except it concentrates a lot on things like sexuality and including things that are not, it shouldn't matter, okay? And when you look at Senate Bill, California Senate Bill 132, and how vast and wide sweeping it is shocking what an evil proposition it's been for the state of California. And if it gets struck down, if someone takes California to the Supreme Court and it gets struck down, everybody wins, okay? Everybody, all right? And that's ultimately probably why they had to include, Neil has two mommies or Fern has two mommies. They had to include that. And it's also, I think, a good part of the story, and a kind of a fuck you to California, the state of California itself. All right, there's an undertone of subversion of California culture in the show. And I'll give you one last hint. When the kids are in the pirate ship and they leave the planet of Ad-Atten, there's a haze above the planet where they had never seen the stars before. Okay, that is a clever idea, all right, of telling the world that they've been basically shielded from the rest of the galaxy. Okay, and they're living in a place that's mythological, but partly it's that planet's fault. All right, and it's cut off on purpose. Why? Think about why. This is Steph signing up. I'll see you around the galaxy.